Hey there, I'm Jill Allen, and this is Find Your Fierce, the show designed for women to discover your fierce, unlock an unstoppable mindset, build unbreakable courage, and completely transform how you show up every single day. Each week, I will bring ideas, methods, and strategies that will inspire you to step into your greatness and live life on purpose. Let's be fit, fierce, and unstoppable. Hey there, gang. Welcome to Find Your Fierce. I'm Jill Allen, and I'm so super excited that you're here with me as we dive into another amazing episode. It's episode 170. We're showing up once again each week to bring a little fire to your day, and this episode is one that I know that I need for myself. I have taken you guys on our latest journey. You have been a part of our big life transitions of late. There's a lot of unknown going on in the Allen house. There's new quests, new adventures, and we've been trying to figure it out. Whether or not, is it go time? Is it a time of waiting? Is it the right thing to do? Is it not? We have so many questions. There's a lot of questions going around. And for one who naturally likes control and plans and a guaranteed positive outcome, and I'm sure many of you can relate to some of that. I know I'm not the only one out there. Well, let me back up. Last week, we talked about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And today, we are talking about when there are times we need to take a leap of faith and take action in the midst of all the unknowns. And that's what we're going to kind of dive in here today. But before we go any further, I just have to let you know that I love that you are here listening in, spending time with me. So honored that I get to be a part of your day. You guys are just also amazing. And I thank you for your love and support. I appreciate your feedback, all your reviews. And I love that you share this podcast and the Set Fire message with your friends and family. And speaking of Set Fire, if you have not heard, my new book, Set Fire, just released last week. And so I would love it if you could head on over to Amazon, snag your copy, especially if you're wanting to fire up your life. And you can even download the first 14 pages while you're waiting for it to ship. You just head on over to my site and it will be sent to you. And I know you're going to love it. I think you're going to love it. And so I just want to thank you again for being here. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. Are you ready? I know I am, so let's dive in. So can you move forward when you don't know? Can you work on a maybe? Can you proceed with a perhaps or, I'm not so sure? God is asking if our faith will be in action when we're not 100% sure of the outcome. Will you move forward when there's a 50-50 chance of it won't working out? And a lot of times we're waiting on the definite green light from God. Like this clear go sign that, the light where it's green, but then on our end, it kind of looks greenish, but we're not sure. And I thought I had clarity and the go ahead, but sometimes for whatever reason, I'm still asking God, was that green or was that yellow? And what happens is I will sit back in this caution, or this waiting room, just in case that wasn't really as green as I need it to be. So on repeat, what I'll do is I'll rehearse over and over and over again all the possible failed outcomes of this until I'm, rendered incapable of doing anything at all. It's like I'm paralyzed and I'm not moving. There's so much inaction in my world. And so I build these worst case scenarios in my head in the name of being prepared, or I got to have all the ducks in a row, or I'm going to wait for that perfect timing, God's timing. But really all I'm doing is building my anxiety and my overwhelm. We're waiting on the sure sign and confirmation. We have this great idea. It might even be a spiritual prompting from within, but because it's not certain, we don't take action. And it's easy to explain away our inaction in the spiritual way. Like, I'm over here waiting on the Lord. I'm just waiting for his green light. I'm waiting for him to tell me what my next step is. But I really have to wonder, are we waiting on the Lord, or is the Lord waiting on us? Has he given us everything we need to take that next step? And now we're just waiting him to force us into that step. God's not into forcing. If you haven't figured that out yet, he's into faith, and faith must be in action. So what if we're sitting and we're waiting while opportunities aligned by God are passing us by? What if it will never be 100% certain, and it's that way by design? What if God is wanting us to take this flying leap of faith when there's a chance our feet won't land on solid ground? Because really, that's what faith is, right? believing when we can't see, trusting when it doesn't make sense, going when we're not certain. I mentioned the Trailblazer Challenge. That is coming up May 1st. We have been pouring so much passion and purpose and time and all these resources into getting it ready, and I'm digging down so deep to take action toward this unknown outcome. It could be a complete flop, or it can be something so good where it inspires people to slow down, unplug, get back to what truly matters. But I don't know. But I'm taking action on a maybe. What is in your life that God is asking you to move on a maybe? On a perhaps, on a greenish light, on a stirring within your spirit that might just be nothing more than your own imagination. You know what God said to me this morning? He said, Jill, stop talking yourself out of going. Stop taking yourself out of the game before it even starts. Stop talking yourself out of it. And I don't think it was just for me. So I'm passing this along to you right now. Stop talking yourself out of going. Sometimes God doesn't make it certain because he wants our faith to grow in the uncertainty. Sometimes God doesn't make it clear because clarity would be easy, and the good plans God has for us is never easy. Sometimes God leaves us hanging with this, well, maybe it's this way, or maybe this will work, or maybe I should do this, because here in the maybe, in the waiting, or in the unknown is where we discover our power to work with God and not just sit back and wait for him to do it all for us. Let me tell you, God won't do what he has empowered us to do. He won't take that first step for us. He won't pick up the phone and make the call. He won't knock on the door. That's what we're supposed to do. And guess when we're supposed to do it? When we're still not 100% sure. When it still has a 50-50 chance of not being right. When it could still go wrong. When the door could slam in our face. When the step could cause us to face plant. When the answer might be no. This is where God turns to us and says, I'm waiting for you to do what you can do right now. But what happens when we do what we can do, even if we're not sure it's the right thing? What then? Well, God comes in and does what we can't do. He fills in the gaps. Do you remember the story of when God instructed Moses to put 2 stones in the ephod the priest would wear? I don't know if you guys remember that lesson or not, but when the priest asked God a question, 1 stone would light up for yes, and the other stone would light up for no. But did you know there were times when neither stone would light up? Times when God didn't speak clearly and his people were left to decide? And now we have the Holy Spirit in place of these stones. We have guidance and direction living within us. His Spirit prompts us. Gosh, what a gift. I mean, it opens our eyes to what we otherwise would not see. It reveals things to us we cannot understand on our own. And sometimes his Spirit is quite unclear to us if we're being completely honest. And to even take it a little bit further, the majority of the time, I'm not absolutely certain of what God's Spirit is telling me quite often. Most of the time, I'm working on a maybe. Maybe God is leading me here. Maybe God is prompting me with this. Maybe God wants me to do this now. And all of my biggest breakthroughs and blessings have come by following a maybe. What if your biggest breakthrough and blessing is on the other side of this maybe? What if God isn't going to make this undeniably clear for you with flashing signs and this loud booming voice because he wants you to exercise your faith where things are uncertain? In James 2:26 it says, "For as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead also." I love that verse. It's so powerful. Our body cannot function without our spirit, and our faith cannot function without works. I get it. We're not saved by works. That's what Jesus did. But our faith alone does nothing without us doing something with it. We can sit on the couch eating salt and vinegar chips and peanuts all day long with faith that can move mountains, but the mountain won't move an inch until we show up and start pushing while we believe. God has great plans for our life, but we don't get to walk in those plans just because we believe them. We have to take the next step into them. And guess what? The next step isn't going to be clear either. It isn't going to always make sense. It isn't going to be certain. There's going to be a chance it won't work. It's a chance it's wrong. A chance it's a total waste. But God is asking us to take that chance in faith and go. What if the next step you take is wrong? What if it doesn't work? Really, let's stare down that option and examine it, because the reality is there's probably a 50% chance of failure. Don't you think your God is big enough to use that failure for favor in your future? Don't you think your God is big enough to take your misstep and turn it into this major step right into his good plans for your life? We will never know what God was ready, willing, and able to do on our behalf if we don't show up in the face of our maybe and go for it. I've learned to trust that if I have truly sought God over it, asked him for his will over my own, released my attachment to the outcome, and taken that next step in obedient faith, God will honor it. Even when it wasn't perfect, even when it wasn't best, even when it was messy. God honors the faithful in action. And it's easy to look at someone else's story and believe they were 100% certain of God's guidance to where they are today. But I promise you, none of us are certain. I had an idea, I showed up and I tried that idea, it kind of worked, so I just kept doing it. I took a chance and it wasn't a complete disaster, so I kept talking to God about it and taking chances. I asked God if I should take that leap. He didn't say no, and the door still seemed kind of to be somewhat open, so I took this flying leap of faith, and here I am today. I was never certain. I was just willing to go on a maybe. 2 Samuel 16, verse 12, it says, Jonathan said to his young armor bearer, "Come, let's go over to the outpost of these uncircumcised men. Perhaps the Lord will act in our behalf. Nothing can hinder the Lord from saving, whether by many or by few." Did Jonathan know for sure God was going to favor them in battle? Nope. Did he know for sure his next step was the right step? No. Was it risky? Absolutely. Jonathan wasn't wearing an ephod. He had no stones to light up with assurance, but he had a prompting and he had the faith to take action on a perhaps. Perhaps the Lord will act on our behalf. And if God acts, nothing can stop him. Jonathan was willing to go into battle on a maybe, a perhaps. He had faith and he had works. Faith without works is dead. Faith with works can do impossible things as God wills. Let your faith be at work today. Drop the fear and take the next step. Sometimes that fear holds on tight when you try to drop it. So maybe that what you have to do is take that next step even when fear is holding on. Drag it, kick it, whatever you got to do. But don't you let that fear stop you. It may slow you down, but it doesn't have to stop you. Perhaps God will do impossible things on your behalf. Maybe God will open doors you have never imagined, but you have to step up to the door and start knocking. God won't knock for you. That's up to you. When do you knock? When you're still unsure. After you've talked to God about it, after you've surrendered the outcome to him, after you've sought his will over your own, then you boldly put your faith into action and go on a maybe. Can God honor your works of faith even when they might not be executed in perfection? Absolutely. God never asked for perfection. He asked for faith and action. Go and you will see. Perhaps the Lord will act on your behalf. So today, be faithful in action, willing to go on that maybe. Man, I'm fired up. Before we wrap this up, though, there is something about getting outdoors, unplugging, and spending time in nature. Have you checked out our brand new Instagram page, Hike, Live, Explore? If you want all the ins and outs when it comes to hiking and getting outdoors and challenges, go follow that page. It's called Hike, Live, Explore. There's also a Facebook group that you can hang out there. The Trailblazer Challenge is kicking off May 1st. I know you do not want to miss it. And if you're wanting even more fire in your day, there's so much for you to do so. You can join our Just Breathe Facebook group, snag a copy of my new book, Set Fire, that just released. Join us in the adventure of a lifetime this August for the Backpacker. We are hiking the White Mountains, and it's going to be so epic. Join our Hawaii mission team. We are serving in Kauai in June. Or maybe you're thinking about doing your own road trip. You can hop in our Sprinter van that sleeps up to 5 and hit the open road. And I know that is a lot going on, so I don't want to overwhelm you. Just go over to JillAllenCoaching.com for all the updates, as we would love to connect with you. Positive connection is so game-changing. Come back next week. We're going to wake up, turn on the light, and get out of living our days in the dark. I know you're going to love it, as it's going to help you so much and encourage you to up-level. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I pray that I filled your heart with joy. If you could let me know before hopping off, that would be incredible. Subscribe, share this episode link on your social media if you felt encouraged or inspired, as we all know someone that can benefit. I would love it if you would give some feedback and a review as well. Talk with you next time. Be fit, be fierce, be unstoppable. See ya.